What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today I am joined by Uche Nwaneri, former NFL football player for the Jacksonville Jaguars and newest member of the Geeks and Gamers team. What's up, Uche? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be here. Glad to be a part of Geeks and Gamers. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So what was about a month ago, you reached out to me via email, and we talked. And I'd noticed you had commented on a few of my live streams in the past because you don't agree with me on the Zack Snyder DCEU, which is awesome to me. I encourage disagreements. But once we talked a little more after you got in contact with me directly, I decided I needed to go to Atlanta to meet you, to hang out with you and kind of, pick your brain about some of the things that you thought you could bring to the table, and I was pleasantly surprised. Even though you are wrong on the DCEU, you do have some interesting thoughts on The Last Jedi, and I enjoyed your story about The Last Jedi. So in a little shortened version of the one you told me, talk to our audience about your experience with The Last Jedi.
All right, so I went into The Last Jedi with probably about as pure as you could be for a Star Wars movie. Didn't really pay too much attention to the previews. I saw the trailer, but, the trailer made it look pretty awesome. So I was like, okay, I'm a Star Wars fan. I've loved Star Wars, since I was a kid. Let me go in. Of course, I'm going to watch it because it's Star Wars, but, I'm going to go in with a clean slate so that I can just enjoy the movie. I don't have to hear anybody's opinions before I go in. I don't have to hear any pay attention for any spoilers or anything like that before I go in the theater. I go in the theater, sit down, got my bag of popcorn, got a big gulp drink, ready to go to a galaxy far, far away. And, the movie starts up and it's like it's a damn an old Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? I'm like, wait, is that a thing in the Star Wars galaxy? Like, can you hear me now? I mean, they're not using cell phones. There's no bar signal. There's nothing to lead me to believe that they should be in the same kind of relative universe that we're in. But okay, whatever. They're trying to make it funny. Let's keep going. And, long story short, I'm going through this movie and I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking to myself, what is this movie about? Is this a car chase movie? Is this the fallen Luke Skywalker who's completely had it up to, it's up to his ears with the Jedi count, with the whole concept of Jedi. And I just couldn't believe that it was so far off from what we all kind of know as Star Wars. It wasn't really a film about a lot of anything. I mean, there were things in it that just didn't make sense. Why are they going to a casino? And why are they, worried about these animals being treated incorrectly when there's little kids who are being slaved out? They're being used as slaves. And, it didn't make sense. You're worried about the animals, but not the slaves. And, Kylo, man, I thought Kylo was going to be I thought he was going to be the Vader of this trilogy. I mean, in every sense of it, I thought that he was going to be that dark force, kind of that same dynamic of master and apprentice with him and Snoke, and you expect Snoke to have this big revealing as, and as such a force from the dark side, and if you keep up with the lore of Star Wars, whether it's Legends or canon, everyone knows that Palpatine was looking for a greater force in the outside, in the outer rim, past the outer rim into the unknown space. He was kind of trying to figure out what that dark force was pulling at him for. And, people assumed kind of that it was Snoke. And here you have in the new trilogy, Snoke is being set up as this big bad, and Kylo is obviously being set up as the fallen Skywalker, who's now, that fits into that kind of Vader form. And he's dead. He's dead. Halfway through the movie, he's gone, and his tongue's hanging out, and he's in half. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this is interesting. So the guy who's supposed to be our Palpatine for this saga of Star Wars is now gone in the second movie. Not even in the third, not even in the climactic finish. He's gone now. So Kylo's training clearly is not complete because he's still torn on whether he's actually a villain or an anti-hero or a hero. And there was just so many plot holes, so many things that bothered me. Like, what was the entire last 20 minutes about if Luke was only going to be a force projection? And then somehow he wasn't a force projection because he got caught with something in his ribs when he grabbed his side before he disappeared. I'm thinking, okay, so he got hit with a lightsaber through his force projection, which makes no sense. He's got Han's lucky dice and gives that to Leia, which made no sense. He's a force projection. How can he carry something that's actual solid matter? How does that work? I don't know. And then the whole, look, I have no problem with addition. There's always additional characters. There's always extras. There's always those kind of additional small part roles that, they play their part and they serve their purpose. But, and look, the woman is a professional actress and I'm sure she's, good at what she does. But, they have a character, the Asian one, Rose Tico, I think her name is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could have done more with her, but they didn't do anything. And they used her as almost as some kind of subliminal message about society. Like, what did she say? What did she say when she messed up Finn's moment of redemption? Finn's climax.
Yeah,
his climax. I was like, "Come on, Finn, you ain't no punk. Let's go!" And here she comes out of nowhere, crashes into him. How are they both not dead? Then in the wreckage, before she passes out, she steals a kiss from him, which he looks like he's completely uncomfortable with.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag me too.
Oh, God. And I was just kind of like, what was the point? What was the buildup of all of this? If it's all just going to lead to something that's kind of counterproductive to the movement of the saga. If Finn was going to sacrifice himself in that last scene, then that actually would have been a decent arc for him. I would have said, you know what? He was brought in as a deserter of the First Order. He didn't agree with what was going on in terms of, being used to slaughter villages. He wasn't a stormtrooper. He just wasn't. He got out of that life. He's trying to overcome his, somewhat weakness as a individual in terms of his bravery. And here's his moment. Everything he's done has led up to this point for him to save the rebellion by sacrificing himself. And they subvert our expectations. And he gets T-boned by Rose, who doesn't die somehow, nor does Finn. Which, I mean, I guess I can suspend my disbelief there. But I mean, it was a scene that added up to nothing, and that was what a lot of The Last Jedi was to me. It was just an assortment of scenes that added up to nothing of true value, anything that was a true representation of the lore that's been built. Even if you're just looking at the films, the lore from the films is so, I mean, it makes you, when you watch the prequels and then you watch the original saga, the first time I saw the original saga, I was younger, didn't make much sense to me. But as I got older and I watched the prequels and then I went back and rewatched the original saga again, it kind of pulled me in to just learn more about the lore of Star Wars. Like, I would go online, watch YouTube videos. I would buy the books buy the audiobooks. I've listened to probably 10 or 12 audiobooks from the Star Wars, from Legends lore. But I mean, The Last Jedi, it just did not add up to what many would assume would be the next step in that saga. There wasn't a lot of continuation from anything that happened in the previous movie. And I mean, honestly, I left the theater and I had such a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna download that. I'm not even gonna steal the movie. I'm not even gonna, it hasn't warranted me to even want to do that. I saw it one time. That's all the money they're getting from me. Because this just isn't a Star Wars movie. It was just some kind of, it was like, you ever seen the movie like the Italian Job?
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those like chase movies where everybody's getting chased in whatever part of the universe they're in, and they're trying to go through some kind of harebrained scheme to just move on to the next chase.
That's a good analogy. That's a good analogy right there.
So for me, I gave it a D. I gave it a D plus. Only plus part of it for me is the visuals. The visuals were stunning. I mean, cinematography was unbelievable. I mean,
well, they fool you too with that. I mean, I remember when I walked out of it and I was still praising it at first. I mean, it is a visually stunning movie. It looks beautiful. It has the Star Wars name on it. So we are Star Wars fans. We want to love these movies. I mean, we don't go into it wanting to hate it. But yeah, man, it is visually stunning, and a lot of the plot twists, they at first they might catch you off guard and maybe you think there's some deeper meaning to it. The thing with Snoke, the thing with Kylo, Luke. When I first saw Luke on Crate standing there facing off Kylo, I was like, oh my God.
I was like, this is gonna be awesome.
I was like, this is amazing. Because I just was caught up in the moment, and then after I was like, wait a minute, he wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. Like, it's so frustrating. So,
yeah.
I feel you.
I mean,
man.
Look, man, when I saw the trailer, I mean, it was something else. The trailer made you feel as if this was going to be something on the level of Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not, some huge revelation. I mean, we're expecting to learn more about Rey, but, I'm honestly, I don't have a problem with Rey not really having a background. I mean, anyone can be sensitive to the Force, depending, right? So, if you want to go into all the mitochondria stuff that they talked about in Phantom Menace, you can, but that's fine with me. I think that's cool. There's no big problem with her having being that reaction that the Force gives, because in a lot of lore, what Sidious had done. Or no, not what Sidious's master, Darth Plagueis, had done prior to Anakin being born was he tried to manipulate the Force, control the Force, and he tried to create life with the Force. Now, the Force actually reacts to that, and that's where Anakin is born. Anakin is born to his mom with no father because the Force actually willed it to happen because of in reaction to what Darth Plagueis had done, which is a balancing. It's always balancing itself. So when there's too much of the dark side, then the light side will rise up and balance it. And that's the same thing that happens. It's supposed to happen in the new saga as well. But they never really followed up on that. I mean, the first, the Force Awakens was a good movie. I thought it was solid. A lot of it was just nostalgic, representation of A New Hope. But you had a couple of big scenes, and that was with Kylo speaking to Vader's burnt helmet, and the final battle with Kylo and Finn and Rey. And at that point in that movie, I was like, oh, I can't wait for the sequel. Because honestly, it was those were two really good fights, two really good climactic fights that kind of set the tempo for the next film. Now you've got Rey having, beaten Kylo. Kylo, though he was injured, escapes from the what is it, the Star Killer planet? I can't remember.
Star Killer Base.
Mm-hmm. And now he's got to lick his wounds and come back harder to try and eliminate the rebellion. And you've got Finn hanging on for his life because he's been, critically injured in his battle with Kylo. So you have kind of a triangle setup of three central characters, Rey, Kylo, and Finn, which, if you think about it, that's like your Han, your Leia, your Luke. You got Finn is kind of, him and Rey have, you don't know what's there. At first I thought it was going to possibly turn into a love interest, but it's kind of friend zone, but kind of sliding into really care about you zone.
It's representative of the fact that they don't know what they're doing about anything in this trilogy.
Exactly. It wasn't clear, you know. You think it's going to go one way, it doesn't. But I just really felt like it was a hugely missed opportunity. I mean, it was an opportunity for them to set another, you know, for anything that people may have taken away from Force Awakens, this would have been an opportunity for The Last Jedi to be this generation's Empire Strikes Back. And they failed at that. They just didn't come through.
And I've talked about this a lot, and where it kind of like I was a big, you know, defender of The Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi being a failure kind of exposed The Force Awakens to be a movie that was definitely reliant upon the sequel. So The Force Awakens would have held up still, in my opinion, as a really good movie if the sequel would have followed through with a lot of it. But it's like with Spider-Man 3. All right, so Spider-Man 3 sucked, but Spider-Man 2 it didn't make Spider-Man 2 worse, because Spider-Man 2 was a great movie on its own.
Yeah, on its own.
To make it better, or to verify it, or anything like that. Force Awakens needed this next movie to justify all of the questions and all of the stuff set up. End of the day, Last Jedi sucks. That's the moral of the story, everybody watching, that The Last Jedi sucks, and it's still bringing people together. And
it was a resounding disappointment.
Yes, across the board. Now, let's talk about something that we don't agree on, something that you have been
I know I'm right. I know I'm right in this. Because
you're not. No, you're not. All right, so I'm not a Zack Snyder hater. I like Zack Snyder as a director. I love Watchmen. I really love Dawn of the Dead. I don't like 300 as a movie, but I respect 300 as a movie. I respect the visual achievement. And I like Zack Snyder as a dude. I just think he's a cool dude. I think he's like a man's man. He's just a dude. He's a regular dude. He handled the criticism of the DCEU so well, unlike Rian Johnson, who just went after the fans. I like Zack Snyder a lot. Now, I was very much anticipating Man of Steel. It was one of my most anticipated films ever, because I love Superman. He's my favorite.
Man of Steel is probably the best DC movie of all of them. Hear me out. Hear me out.
What is Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I think it's better than Wonder Woman. Yeah, I liked Wonder Woman. I thought Wonder Woman was a solid A movie, but I think that Man of Steel is better. And I'll give you a few.
Just go ahead. Go ahead and spread your propaganda. Go ahead.
So you got to look at it like this. Couple things. One, what's the hallmark of a great movie? One of the most timeless hallmarks of a great movie is when you watch it a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, when you watch it 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, does the movie still resonate in terms of, you know, the universe that it's in? Does it still resonate as a good movie?
I agree with that. Layers. Yeah.
I'll say that I really liked Man of Steel the first time I saw it. By the 10th time I saw Man of Steel, I started to kind of consider it a comic book masterpiece. It got better each time I saw it. And it was weird. You see it on like TNT, you see it on, HBO, and it didn't matter what part of the movie it was on. I got pulled into watching it. I sat there and I watched the rest of the movie. I've been to friends' places and they have it playing on their theater screens, and I'm walking by the room and I'll stop and I'll go in and sit in and watch it. It's the movie for me. It got better with every viewing that I had of it. And a hardcore DC Comics fan is myself, one who has the Death of Superman comic book, Nightfall, Long Halloween, countless DC comic book storylines in boxes in my attic. I've always seen DC as more of a gods among men universe than a men who are brave, heroic people who do extraordinary things. That's Marvel. The MCU, Marvel is more along that. These are heroes. These are men who are trying to become who are trying to become heroes, who are trying to become quote unquote gods amongst their society. And DC was always the opposite of that. It was always gods trying to live among men, gods trying to find their place in regular human society, an alien from a different planet, a half god born of Amazonian descent, you know, and then a man who amongst all of this holds his own because his will is undeniable. His strength is at the peak that you could expect for any human being. And his intelligence is that, you know, is rivaled by, you know, grandiose alien entities like Brainiac. You know, it's a much more cosmic universe with DC, I think. And
I agree with
Zack Snyder took the angle of, let's make Superman the kind of character who does struggle with being an ultimate power. In Man of Steel, he doesn't necessarily know, you know, where the extent of his power will lead to. He doesn't know. But throughout his life, he has had experiences that have ended up positive for him from using his powers, and experiences that have worked against him and against what his father was trying to instill in him, as to, you know, keeping his powers under wraps so that, you know, there isn't a situation where now, you know, he has to decide whether he's going to stand with humanity or stand on his own, because he really is above humanity based on, you know, obviously the power that he has. And his father, who Jor-El in Krypton, had that same kind of perspective, as my son's going to be a god amongst these people. And I want to leave him the opportunity to find out about his people and to find a way to either coexist or to follow his heart and go after what he believes in terms of who he will represent. And there's no easy answer for that. When you're somebody who has that kind of power, somebody who has that kind of ability, you know, people will worship you, people will hate you, people will try to control you. But at the end of the day, he can do whatever he wants. But it takes real strength to temper that natural instinct. And in Man of Steel, when he walked into the church and he sat down and he, you know, asked whether, you know, he should align with his race or whether he should align with his actual people, because his race is Kryptonian. He's a Kryptonian, but his people are humans, and he chooses his people. And, you know, people talk about, oh, he killed Zod in the end, and I think to myself, there could have been no other result. There could have been no other end result. One, because Zod told him so. Zod told him he would destroy this Earth. It's either going to be Superman dies or Zod dies. And in the end, when he was put to the test, and he first tried to use reasoning to stop Zod, or reasoning is in screaming, no, don't do it. You know, Zod said never. So there he had drew his line. He's not going to stop. He'll kill these people regardless of how much pain he's in, regardless of how big the fight is. He will make sure that if he's alive, he'll destroy Earth, because Kal-El destroyed the opportunity to rebuild Krypton. So Superman's left with a decision to either kill him or let these people be killed. And he kills him. And I think that's a perfectly logical and perfectly Superman-like move to make, because when it was Doomsday, it was the same scenario in the comic books. Doomsday was either going to destroy the world, because there wasn't, I mean, he flattened the JLA with one arm tied behind his back.
Yeah, he leveled everything. And I had no problem with Superman killing Zod and Man of Steel, just for the record. That's one of my issues I don't.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a big issue. They talk about, you know, the destruction and all that. Okay, he's Superman. He's a god. Like, it's his first day on the job, literally. His first day on the job, he saves the world.
That's not the point, though. The point is that he destroys all these buildings, and then he's got time to make out with a woman he got no chemistry with while there's people dying in those buildings that he destroyed. And then they retconned it. They retconned it in Batman v Superman when they have Bruce Wayne running into the buildings.
No, they didn't retcon it. That was just the other side of the coin you didn't see.
So why is Superman not over there doing it? Like he can't hear those people screaming right now?
Because he can't. He's battling a.
No, he's standing with Lois, making out with her, and all these.
Yeah, that was
right behind him.
Okay, and that was at what? That was at the point in the movie when Superman thought that the imminent threat was over. So he runs into his love interest, Lois, which
they didn't have no chemistry, Ooch. They didn't have no chemistry.
Look, I can't speak to the chemistry aspect. They didn't have a lot of chemistry.
Had more goddamn chemistry.
But do they really need that much chemistry?
Yes.
We already know the Lois and Clark dynamic. So
no. You still have to earn it. In the individual movie you're in, you still got to earn it. And they did not earn it. And not only that, he let his dad die. Explain that one to me.
He did what his dad told him to do.
Come on.
He did what his dad told him to do. Now, I'm not going to say that it couldn't have been done better. Yeah, of course it could have been done better. But he did what his dad told him to do. And as far as, Lois, well, at the end of the movie, he begins working at the Daily Planet. So you assume that their chemistry will build even greater because now they're working in the same building. He's trying to keep a low profile, and he's going to be interacting with her on a daily basis. And at some point, they move in together. And in Batman v Superman, that's where you pick it up. So, yeah, Zack Snyder didn't necessarily go through the steps of building the layers of their relationship. But that wasn't what needed the most emphasis in that movie. The story was being driven from the standpoint of this is a superpowered being who has tried to find his way and tried to find some common ability to coexist with the human world that he lives in while still trying to learn about where he comes from and learn about his people. He just so happened to come into an opportunity where he finds a scout ship that came from Krypton. And now he's able to learn about the true nature of who he is and the true grandiose picture that can now be painted because what he has is going to change the world. The abilities he has will change the world for better or worse. And that's something that they examine in Batman v Superman.
Well, go ahead if you got a more point.
Well, no, go ahead. I mean, I'm
just going to say, first of all, let me be clear, okay? Yeah. I envy you like this movie, okay? I wanted to love it. I did. And I do think Henry Cavill is he's a great Superman. He could be a great Superman. He's got the look. He's got the acting chops. My thing is, I want Superman to be more inspirational. I want him. So, like, But
why? Why does he have to be more inspirational at the beginning?
Because but even like in Batman v Superman, okay? Mm-hmm. And again, I've only seen it once, at least the extended cut. So I'm trying to remember, and I only watched that piece of shit because people told me it made it better.
Wow.
I'm like
the Ultimate Edition is
the DLC
really
version. Good. No,
really good.
Here's what that is. Okay, that's like when I drink some out of date milk and somebody says, "Oh, if you put another half gallon of out of date milk, it'll taste better." You just give me more of the bullshit that I hated.
Look.
Listen, hang on. So there's a scene. I believe it's. Again, this movie to me, Batman v Superman, is like Last Jedi level. I've tried to.
Oh hell no! Hell no!
I've tried to forget most of it, but I think it's the part where Luthor does the whole thing where he blows up the courtroom or whatever, and then this is in the extended cut, okay? And then outside, Superman kind of floats down. I think he saves some people or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's that moment where he could have been like inspirational, but he was still just emo, sad, grumpy, broken-hearted Superman. I'm like, you should have said something to make people feel better about that moment. Be inspiring. Superman. Anything. Go back to the Christopher Reeve Superman. Like, even if things are shit, even if things are terrible, even if things are horrible, Superman is there to be a beacon of hope. He's supposed to inspire. He's supposed to make you feel better about the situation.
Yeah, but this is
Superman is just like,
you're talking about the end game Superman. Yes, the end game Superman, which meaning Superman at his most complete and most rounded as a character and as a hero is absolutely supposed to be inspirational. This is not an end game Superman. This is a year 2, 18 months Superman. This is a young, still trying to find his way superhero. The only one that we know of at that point of that kind of power. And he is being, he's a human. I mean, yeah, he's Kryptonian, but he's a human. So he sits down in his apartment and he's watching TV, and there are people talking about him in the same kind of divisive nature as you see on the news today. So for him, he sits there and being an athlete, being a football player for 8 years, you hear, people talk about, players on your team, or you hear people talk about you as a player.
We're gonna talk about some of them stories, but talking about you in another video. But go ahead.
For sure. And it elicits emotions immediately. You either feel proud because they're talking good about you. You feel, disrespected, underrated if they're talking bad about you. And the same would go for somebody like Superman. So he's constantly, and even though they didn't show, even though there weren't dedicated like scenes to him like necessarily saving people in different situations, they put together a collage of the acts of unbelievable strength and bravery that he's committing, going across the world, carrying a sunken ship or a overturned ship by a chain in the Arctic, saving astronauts in a rocket launch that goes bad, saving a young girl from a burning building during Day of the Dead in Mexico. All these things that he's doing. He's going around the world saving people. Superman. People who are stranded in a flood. He's going around the world saving people, and yet people are still talking bad about him. People still don't have faith in him. People think he at any moment, one of them being Bruce Wayne, could turn evil and turn against and make a decision to take over the world. These are things that are being, put out there in the public sphere, and he's seeing that stuff too. So how does that affect, an individual when you think you're doing something right, but everything you do seems to be countered with a reason why you shouldn't do it or a reason why it wasn't good. And the only thing that you're trying to do is save as many people as you can. And the whole thing with Lex blowing up the Capitol Hill building was that, Superman, I thought that was a very deep kind of a touching scene, because it showed that it doesn't matter how powerful you are. It doesn't matter what your fists can do. It doesn't matter what your eyes can see. You can't save everybody. And it really is reminiscent of one of Superman's earlier books. I forget the name of it, but he's flying around the world, literally saving a person a minute, different situations. And he gets overwhelmed. And this is Endgame Superman in the comic books. He gets overwhelmed, taking food to starving villages in Africa, dismantling terrorist bombs that are aimed to fire into major cities. And through all of that, he can't save everybody. There are people who still die. There are people who still can't get out of dangerous situations. And that was kind of the point that Lex was trying to make, was that it doesn't matter how powerful and how godlike these people think you are. You're not, because at the end of the day, if someone's going to die, then they're going to die, and there's nothing that Superman can do about it. And on top of that, he wasn't able to even perceive the danger that was in the same room he was in. So those are things that beat up the moral the moral stamina of a person when you see these things stacking up against you. And I think that it was, did Zack Snyder, could he have done better in terms of how the script was put together? I think so. I don't think Zack Snyder is a writer. I don't think he should be necessarily involved in the writing aspect of movies like this. But the bullet points of what he was trying to get to, I understood, and it made sense for DC because that's how DC operates. It operates on a bit more of a somber yet inspirational level than the MCU does. The MCU operates on that, God. The MCU is like, no consequences. Don't worry. No consequences. Don't worry. Iron Man's not going to die. Captain America's not going to die. Black Panther's not going to die. Black Widow's not going to die.
Yeah.
Look, I saw Endgame. I thought Infinity War was better.
Infinity War was better, but Endgame
was a bigger spectacle. But Infinity War really was like, yo, it was the first MCU movie I saw where I was like, this could be a DC movie because it's far more serious
and it's got stakes in it.
More grand, yes.
That's the thing about and that's the thing about the MCU. And we'll wrap this whole conversation up because me and you can go hours talking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the thing with the MCU is like, you had stakes with Infinity War and Endgame, but prior to that, you knew like there was no weight to anything. It was like nobody, even if they die, they're going to bring them back anyway, and so it bothered me. But overall, let me wrap this up on the DCU side of things. Totally obviously, I respect where you're coming from, and I appreciate where you're coming from. And there's a lot of people in our audience that are going to agree with you because anytime I do criticize, Zack Snyder's DCU, it's like a 50-50 split, you know what I mean? And Film Gob, shout out to Film Gob. I told you, Film Gob, I was going to get you a pro DCEU person here on the team.
I like Film Gob.
Yeah, and he's a lot bigger than I am. So, there's really not a whole lot I can do in this situation. But yeah, man. So ultimately, you and I are probably going to have a lot more discussions on the DCEU and among other things. The big thing that we are doing with you here on the team for now, and then we're obviously going to expand that down the road, but we're going to bring you over to Sports Wars because obviously you are a former NFL football player and you bring a lot of insight. We've had some discussions. We had a meeting with our Sports Wars team the other day, went for about 3 hours. You got to meet all the guys. You got to share some behind-the-scenes stories. And you're going to be able to open up a lot of different opportunities for us, and help us expand the Geeks and Gamers / Sports Wars brand, which I'm very excited for. So just in a few minutes, kind of talk about your background and what you hope to accomplish here at Sports Wars with everybody.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Texas, from Dallas, Texas, born and raised there. Ended up going to Purdue University to play my college ball. Played there, was there 5 years, and got drafted in the 5th round to Jacksonville. That was in 2007. And I became a starter in Jacksonville at the beginning of my 2nd season and started every game from there on throughout the rest of my career in Jacksonville. Played there 7 years, and then I played the first part of the season with the Dallas Cowboys in my 8th year. Since I retired, I've been I have a number of businesses that I own, but I've always kind of been right on the edge of starting a YouTube channel. And YouTube is basically become the television of this age, of the right now. It's kind of TV for everybody because you can be more specific in what you want to find and what you want to latch onto in terms of your daily viewership. But Geeks and Gamers, I ran into Geeks and Gamers one day when I was actually watching a lot of videos on Star Wars that day. And I ran into Geeks and Gamers video, and it was talking about, I can't remember the exact video, but it was something that had to do with the fallout post Last Jedi leading into Solo, which I I liked Solo. Not gonna lie, I did like it. I understand why.
I'm kidding. I saw somebody the other day said Jeremy liked Solo and The Last Jedi. He has bad opinion he has questionable decision making. I'm like, when did I say it? Like, I know I praised The Last Jedi when I first walked out of it, but I never even saw Solo in theaters, and I hardly could be committed.
I saw it on Netflix. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was,
It's not Last Jedi offensive.
Yeah, it's just not offensive. It's just there. Nobody asked for it, but yeah, it's there. But Geeks and Gamers. One of the things I really liked about the channel was that, Jeremy, you were very passionate about your views, but you were passionate, bordering manic, but but you didn't cross that threshold. You had your opinion, but you don't, it's not like you shut off other people from talking about it. Like, you state pretty generally in every one of your videos that, it's your opinion, and, other people are free to disagree if they like, that's fine. And, that's something that I found to be very authentic. And, as I, kept up with the channel and, I subscribed, I watched it daily. I watched all of the other channels that kind of worked in conjunction with Geeks and Gamers or were similar. And, it kind of pushed me towards, getting involved with it more directly. And like I said, I'd been pondering on it for literally about 3 years, whether I wanted to start a YouTube channel or not. And when I reached out to you, I kind of left it in a kind of a blank status. I said, well, if he reaches back out to me, then that'll be great. I can kind of, give him my, give him a little bit of the gist of what I'm thinking. And, but if he doesn't, then, I'll just continue to kind of, figure out what the move will be if I decide to go with the YouTube channel. So for me, joining in with Sports Wars is going to be, an amazing opportunity. I really think that we can grow and build that into something that can be a force to be reckoned with on the YouTube landscape. Yes, I played 8 years of professional sports, and on top of that, even college football, high school basketball, all those different things. As you live the life of an athlete, and you have a little bit different perspective on some of the things that people see when they watch, ESPN, when they watch, football games, where they watch, team sports is a very culture-driven machine. There is a culture of, and I say culture as in every team has its own culture, and I was in Jacksonville, small market team, but our culture was built around, men playing a man's sport, playing it violently, playing it with confidence, and, leaving everything you have on the field. And that's something that can be said for a lot of team sports out there. But in Jacksonville, we were the kind of team that, nobody really cares if you're doing what we're doing unless we're winning games. So we had to be winners in order to get that kind of attention from the media that, the Dallas Cowboys had, or the Green Bay Packers had, or the New York Giants had. When I was in Dallas, I was kind of shocked at how people are salivating over, a team that at the time hadn't won, or had won maybe one playoff game in 20 some odd years. Yep. When I was in Jacksonville, we won more playoff games than the Cowboys did. And we only went to the playoffs 1 year when I was playing out there. So, it kind of opened me, it kind of introduced me into that mass media machine where, you're on I'm in Dallas, and there's plaques on the wall saying it's a privilege, not a right, to play for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, it's true. But at the same time, they're saying it as if they had just won a Super Bowl, which to me, it seemed a bit arrogant. So coming from a small market team and going into a big market team was a little bit shocking for me, just from that aspect. But a lot of the things that I bring to the table for Sports Wars are going to be, it's going to be a lot, my channel is going to be called The Observant Lineman. And it's, which is the acronym TOL, which you can break that off and it's OL, which O-line, offensive lineman. And really, I'm going to be providing my commentary, my perspective, my view of things in that football atmosphere, in that football sphere, the world of football. And at the same time, also, calling out things, that people may not have the ability to catch on to. Things are done in football. Everything that's done on a daily basis from a transaction level upward is done for a reason. And, a lot of it has to do with the business of the game. And then there's parts of it that have to do with, the abilities and the performance of the players. But, I'm just going to aim to be as honest as I can. Obviously I know a lot of players who are retired at this point, but I also know some players who are still playing. Some pretty big names who are still playing. I'm actually, friends with, and I'll be trying to get those guys to come onto the shows and talk about what's going on with them, and also talk about stories from the locker room. Things that a lot of fans don't have the privilege of really knowing about, because these are things that happen behind the scenes. But
I remember I was sitting at the bar with you when we met, and I asked you, so who do you know? And you pulled out your phone and you dropped a few names. You're like, I can call this person. I was like, oh shit! All right, cool. I got you.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna try and bring that element of authentic, real, truthful football commentary, as well as getting athletes and stars in the league, to come on and talk about things. And we're it's like a fraternity. Football's like a fraternity. So if you're an NFL player and another NFL player reaches out to you, whether they're retired or whether they're a free agent or what, you always try to do what you can to meet them at a request. So I've already talked to a few of my old teammates. I've already talked to a few guys that I know around the league, and kind of presented to them what I'm going to be doing with you guys, and they're interested in coming in and talking when the time's right. So a lot of big things ahead. But it's going to be, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some focus, but you've built Geeks and Gamers up to be something that's a force right now on YouTube, and it's growing and it's getting bigger. And I think this is going to be, something that's only going to help it become a more lauded brand as we move forward.
I'm looking forward to it, man. And yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this a few times, with like the geek world, geeks and gaming. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I know a little about a lot of things. That's how
I know things.
Yeah, but now with sports, I feel like I'm very, very, like, that's my number one passion has always been sports. And so if we can, with us, like I told people, if I can put 50% of the effort behind Sports Wars, that of the effort I put behind Geeks and Gamers, if I can just take 50% of that effort from G&G and put it over to Sports Wars, now with having you and our incredible Sports Wars team, I think we can do some amazing things at Sports Wars.
Absolutely.
NFL season coming up, college football season. Then we're going to move right into the NBA season, which is just stupidly full of like drama and storylines. We're going to reach out and try to get some people for baseball. We're going to talk to people about soccer. These are two elements I'm not really versed in too much.
Oh, soccer. I love soccer.
Okay, right on. I didn't even know that. Baseball, I know you said you're not much on baseball. Bring back steroids, baby. I'll watch baseball. Bring back Sammy Sosa. I'll be watching some fucking baseball.
That ball into the second parking lot in the stadium.
But somebody told me, actually, I guess baseball's on pace to have the most home runs ever this year. So I don't know. Maybe baseball's actually exciting again. I don't know. I mean, I know
a lot of players hitting home runs.
Yeah.
Just a few that are knocking them all out.
Right. And that was what's exciting. Like, I remember, man, Barry Bonds, dude. Barry Bonds goes to the plate. Half the time, they wouldn't even pitch to this man anyway.
They just throw it off to the side.
Yeah, and he's still hitting 60, 70 home runs. I'm like, dude, this dude he's ridiculous. I love Barry Bonds so much. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, Sports Wars has a very bright future. Geeks and Gamers has a very bright future. Uche, on a personal note, man, I just want to thank you for reaching out to me. I appreciate it so much. It means a lot to me that you've been, much like your YouTube channel name, the Observant Lineman. You know, you observed, you know, Geeks and Gamers for a long time. You didn't just see a video here, a video there. You kind of watch, and you've told me this. You watched for a long time. You looked at the people that I've connected myself with in a lot of those channels, and you saw what exactly we had going on. You looked beyond a lot of the stupid things that people say about me and the assumptions that are out there, because all it takes is the slightest bit of research to understand that none of that stuff is true. Yeah. But yeah, I really appreciate that, man. So just on a personal note, it meant a lot to me. And I'm you know, like I said, my gut was like, I need to drop to Atlanta and meet this dude. We sat there for like 4 hours just arguing about Batman v Superman, you know, me getting that story about The Last Jedi, talking sports. We got a lot of sports stories to talk about.
Oh, man.
We got a lot. We got some Tebow stories, okay? Oh, God. We got some Tom Brady stories. And we got some other stories. I'm not even going to give you any teasers on them, but Uche has shared some stuff with myself and the Sports Wars team. But yeah, man, like I said, do. Now, you don't really do much on Twitter. I know you're verified on Twitter, but we'll tell your Twitter story another time because we don't have time for it right now. But in social media, you're not too big on social media, correct?
In the recent times, yeah, I've kind of veered off of the social media path. I mean, look, I used to be on Facebook all the time. I got a lot of fans on Facebook. I got a lot of fans on Instagram. But, you know, at the end of the day, when it's every day where you're spending, 3 hours looking at your phone in arguments with people, going back and forth, I kind of step back from it just because, it can make you a little bit too tight, too wound up, too ready to jump at anything you see move. And for me, conversations, I love having conversations. I love talking with people. I love having debates. I love going back and forth. And, I think that I would rather have that type of process from the creator standpoint than from the keyboard standpoint of just typing away. To get on here with, to work with you guys, to work on my channel as well, and to actually, and to have a visual and an audio kind of representation of myself rather than just typing things and getting into, typing arguments with people. I feel like that's a little bit more, it allows me to breathe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
There were times when I would get in, and look, obviously the last, 4 years, the social media world has, become more and more part of everybody's everyday life, every moment life. I had that, and I just wanted to, kind of pull myself out of that a little bit so that I could get, I could start, kind of dealing with people on a more common level. I mean, we can argue one side of the coin all day, but at the end of the day, we all have basically the same kind of wants in life. And for me, I feel like I'd rather have a good conversation with somebody sitting here in front of a camera than typing from a keyboard, distracting myself from whatever else I'm doing. I'd rather be fully focused on it and be fully invested in it, and and be able to communicate with the people who want to hear what I have to say, and people who disagree. We can address it on video. We can address it, through YouTube, through the power of your voice, instead of just typing stuff on and hitting reply all the time.
Agreed. So it's going to be really exciting. So we're gonna kick ass and take names. It's that simple, and I'm looking forward to it, man. So all right, so we're gonna wrap this up. You're gonna see a lot more of Uche here on Geeks and Gamers and on Sports Wars in the very near future. We got a lot of things in the works, but it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. We had we covered a lot of ground here. I think everybody here in the community is going to definitely get a different perspective now, because we don't have a huge sports carryover here on Geeks and Gamers yet. But so when I announced, former NFL player, a lot of people are like, oh, you're Jeremy's leaving us for his football. It's like, bro,
dude, I am Star Wars all day. Look at that. That's the Death Star right there. That's Darth Maul right there, and that's Darth Vader Stewie from Family Guy right there. So, I'm a Star Wars fan through and through. I got Mace Windu's lightsaber on that side, and I got Darth Maul's lightsaber on that side. Those are my
prequel love, baby. Prequel love, okay?
Right.
So I know a lot of people were just like, oh, Jeremy's leaving us for the jocks. It's like, dude, he's one of us. He's one of us.
Dude, I'm a gamer.
Yeah, you guys think I'm just going to, bail for somebody who doesn't care about all the other stuff we talk about? Like, Geeks and Gamers covers it all. I am looking for somebody who has his fingers in everything geek culture plus sports. Uche's going to bring a whole different dynamic to this, and I'm really excited. So, all right, my friend. So it's been a pleasure. So we're going to wrap this up. You guys,
thank you so much.
No, man. It's been great. So subscribe to Sports Wars. We are just under 3,000 subs over on that channel, and we're close to getting monetization. So that's really exciting for us, definitely. And then obviously, do you have your channel up and running?
Well, I have it set. I haven't started my videos yet. But if you look up my name on YouTube, it'll still pull up the page. I didn't rename my actual Google account for the page, but I have I've changed the aesthetic of the channel to the Observant Lineman. So just type in either my name or type in the Observant Lineman, and you'll be able to find me. I will be starting to post my videos here in this coming week. So I'll drop my intro video. Of course, I'll let you know before I shoot that out there. Okay. And then I'm going to be looking to segue a lot of those videos into our Sports Wars talks and Sports Wars videos as well. Okay.
All right, man. So for Uche, I've been Jeremy. Thank you guys very much for checking out this video. Or do I need to do my thank you very much for checking out this video?
We will talk to you later.
And check out geeksandgamers.com, and we will talk to you later. Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from geeksandgamers.com, and if you're a fan of Geeks and Gamers, please go to our website, visit our merchandise store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, tank tops, and in the very near future, we're going to have many more products for you to choose from. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.